Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy vicslanghope, and I got another video for y'all. In this video, I'm going to be talking about who the Moors really were, because a lot of people out here, black people, but they be out here fabricating the information about who really conquered Spain and who the Moors really were, right? So I'm going to get into it, so bear with me. So now, let's start off with who the Moors really were, right? And where does the term Moor come from? Now, Moor comes from Moris, which is which is like a Latin terminology that Europeans named these people, right? Now, so the term Moor is actually a European term, right? Now, who were they talking about? They were talking about Berbers. Now, if you look up who the Berbers were, the Berbers are an indigenous group of people who reside in northern Africa. The countries like Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, some parts of Libya, Mauritania, right? Another thing is, Moor was also a terminology, some say, that was used to kind of like highlight Muslims, right? This is something that Europeans use to talk about Muslims, in connection usually to Morocco or Mauritania. If you look up where the modern day Moors live, they say they live in Mauritania, and it says they are predominantly Arab. So that's just to say that. Now, I want to really get into the gist of people constantly saying that the Moors ruled Europe, when that is far from the truth, right? They also have this thing where they like to run with that Moors or black people, we're going to use black people just for the sake of argument, that black people ruled Europe. That's not true. If you look up the map of Europe, it's a very big map. Where the Moors, Berbers / Arabs ruled was in Spain, right? And it wasn't necessarily the Moors. The Moors didn't rule Spain. It was the Umayyad dynasty. The Umayyad Caliphate ruled Spain. You can look this up yourself. You don't have to believe me. A lot of people be fabricating information and saying black people ruled. No, it was the Umayyad Caliphate. A caliph, if you look at what caliphate is, it is the khilafah, right, in Arabic. It is Muslim rulership, right? So the people who went to Spain were a mixture of different people, because again, race is a social construct that started in America. So this whole thing about black, white, Pacific Islander, Asian, all of those things are terminologies that were created in America by the European men, right? So if we understanding each other, right, there wasn't really a racial thing at this period of time. It was nations and tribes, right? So a Muslim army with a general by the name of Tariq ibn Ziyad, that's an Arab name, right? So Tariq ibn Ziyad conquered Spain, right? And again, like I said, the Europeans, Christians, used to call these people Moors, right? Because again, their word comes from a Latin root word of Moris, which kind of like talks about the people in Mauritania, right? And it also was denoting like Morocco, right? So this is something that the European people called the Berbers / Arab armies that invaded Spain. One thing that I forgot to mention is how some accounts try to depict Tariq ibn Ziyad, which was the general that went into Spain. They try to depict him as being the ruler, right? But he wasn't the ruler. The ruler is the Khalifa, right? That in the Muslim world, that is the absolute ruler. He's like the main figurehead of the Muslim world. And under the Khalifa, you have amirs. Amirs is like governors, right, of different provinces. And then under like amirs, you have generals of armies, right, commanding generals. So Tariq ibn Ziyad was a general, and a lot of times in some of these fabricated, history books or stories that they tell, they say he was the ruler. He wasn't the ruler. He was operating under like the seat of power of the Muslim Khalifa, if that makes sense. Muslims ended up ruling Spain for a period of about 750 years, somewhere around there, from the year 711 all the way to like 1492, around the time that Columbus set sail to the New World. And around that time is when the Muslims and the Jews got expelled from Spain, right, which was called Al-Andalus, which is another Arabic term. So I will make a separate video as to how the Muslims got expelled and what kind of like took place and what happened. I'm not gonna do it in this video, but yeah, I'm just letting it be known that it was the Muslims that ruled Spain, the Umayyad dynasty, not the Moors, not the blacks, the Muslims. Which is why a lot of Spanish words have Arabic roots to them. For example, camis is shirt in Arabic, right? And in Spanish, it's camisa, right? For example, pants. Pants in Arabic is pantalon, because there is no P in the Arabic language, right? And in Spanish, pants is pantalon. Just like, and because there's no P, like I said in Arabic, the way you say Pakistan is Bakistan, right? So another word is sugar. In Spanish, you say azúcar. In Arabic, you say sukar, right? So, and there's a whole bunch of other words that kind of like escape me right now. There's a lot of other words in Spanish that have an Arabic root. So with that being said, that's just a little history. Also some tips is like, when you're learning about history, it's important to learn different aspects or different stories throughout history, because his story is basically a person's story through their lens. So it's important to also see what other people are saying, what other people recorded about the history in the same time. And I would encourage black people to stop fabricating history, right? To stop fabricating information to try to make black people feel good in America, right? And I get it. Black people tend to do this because they want to improve the self-identity of black people in America, which is why the Nation of Islam kind of use Islam as a vehicle to kind of like tell black people that Allah was the God of the black people. And you know, then it went even further, because out of the Nation of Islam came out the 5% nation, where they started saying stuff that Allah stood for: arm, leg, arm, head, right? They just started making up a whole bunch of crazy things that were false. So I get it, the same way Elijah Muhammad tried to use Islam and change it and twist it because he wanted to uplift the self-image of black people. It's the same way that a lot of people are playing with history and saying things like blacks used to rule Europe, which is far from the truth. So with that being said, I would say this, like, I don't believe in lying to people to kind of like try to improve their sense of morality and self-worth and self-image, because I just think it's the same thing that the white people did, right? The white people changed history, or they said it in a way that benefited white folks, right? When they created race, they said it in a way that benefited them and allowed them to gain a sense of self-worth and superiority. And I think that black people are trying to follow suit and do the same thing, and I don't think it's okay. And if you want to do that, right, I don't think you need to do that, because there's plenty of good things that black people did in America that you can try to highlight to give them a sense of self-identity. So let me know what are y'all thoughts on the video. If you like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up so it can circulate through YouTube. And if it's some valuable information that you learned today, share it with somebody that you care about or that you think might benefit from this video. Till next time, peace.